My name is Baudin and I'm an Associate Director with Fender Katsalidis Architects based in Melbourne, Australia. We're a medium-sized practice of about 50 people. We have a fairly wide range of work from high-rise residential to commercial and institutional projects. My role in the practice, apart from being an Associate Director, is that of a project architect working on a number of different projects. In addition to this, I have an overview role in a sense of overviewing QA, office procedures and the office CAD system. This role is essentially focused on project delivery from start to finish and ensuring that projects get delivered in the most efficient and time-effective way possible. And it's been in this role that I've been working with Graphisoft on the trialling of the Teamwork 2 features of ArchiCAD 13. When we first heard about Teamwork 2, we were really excited about the prospects of what it meant for us as an organisation. It solves a problem that we've grappled with internally for many years, and it's a problem that almost all single BIM model approaches suffer from, and how to effectively divide a project between a large practice with multiple people. I think I have a personal view that real projects are the best way to trial software in this way. It's a very human problem, the problem that Teamwork 2 is trying to solve. It's all about people working under project deadlines, under pressure, and how they interact with each other. As I mentioned before, we started in pre-alpha and subsequently alpha versions of the software with larger sketch design projects. Some of them were quite large. One of them was 50 stories. Other ones were quite small. But it was all about testing the workflow in the beginning and ensuring that there was maximum flexibility, that people could get access to the parts of the model that they needed, and that the work could go out in the most efficient way possible. We've always been a firm of teamwork skeptics. We have used Teamworks in the past, Teamwork 1, and we've used it on some quite large projects, but the experience has never been one that we've ever been particularly happy with. I think the main reason why we've had bad experiences with Teamwork 1 has been mostly to do with speed. In these large projects that we've had, the send and receive times can easily be in the region of 10 to 15 minutes, and what we find is that when we have a project of 6 or more people working on a project, they can't send and receive simultaneously, so ultimately every time the project needs to be fully updated, it takes an hour out of the working day as an exercise. And that has just led to people not sending and receiving as frequently as they should, which leads to other problems as well, which I'll get to. So what's exciting for us about Teamwork 2 is the potential to completely change the way we work to deliver projects in a more productive and effective way, and to just bring a whole level of extra flexibility into our staffing arrangements. We're a practice of 50 people, as I said before, and I think for a big practice, to leverage the advantages of having a large staff, you really need that flexibility of workflow. You need the ability to rapidly move people from one project to another. We're used to having a file to themselves and managing that file and working within their own way within various hot-link projects, but ultimately being responsible for that one file. So there was a cultural shift that really needed to happen in terms of getting people used to the idea of collaborating on an entire model with other people. And I think that's been a really positive thing for the practice. The largest documentation project, and the largest project full stop, that we've had using Teamwork 2 has been an apartment building, quite a large project in inner Melbourne, and that had a team of about 6 people in it. And the experience with this project has been really good. We met all of our deadlines. We recently issued a full set of tender documentation for the project. And what's been really good as an experience for us is that people have enjoyed working in this new collaborative way. What we really liked about what the new teamwork workflow brought for us was that it allowed people to feel like they are truly collaborating on a single model. And because of the speed at which send and receives can be made using Teamwork 2, people just send and receive every couple of minutes. And that means that everyone has a really good situational awareness of what everyone else is doing. And for the CAD leaders and the team leaders working on those projects, they feel far more in tune with where the model is going, where the model is progressing, and you can quite quickly tell if things are going off the rails or if they aren't. When we look at CAD within our office, I think there's probably three key things that are really important for us that we have to get out of our CAD system. I mean, starting with flexibility, I think this is a real key one for us. And as I mentioned before, we are a large practice, and I think even for a small practice it's important. We need to be able to make the best decision on how to move people between projects and how to deliver projects based on the needs of the project, not the limitations of the CAD software. And I think what Teamwork 2 does is it just takes the CAD software limitation out of the equation. I think what we haven't realised until now, until we've really started thinking about the potentials of what Teamwork 2 can deliver for us, is just how efficient that is. And what we find with early design is the pressures are very on and off. 1 week, one project's under enormous pressure, the next week it goes quiet, and we're constantly getting a varying demand placed on a project. And that means that sometimes someone who's working on that project really is working at 130% and the next week he's down to 65%. Now the following week, when that person really is only at 65% capacity, there may not be a 45% project easily available for that person to work on, especially if you're stuck with a one person per file approach. I don't think it's the most productive way for an office to be run. What we found is that if we can implement a teamwork protocol in these early design projects, we can share people around projects more effectively, and we can get more out of the time that we have. And if there is a demand on one project and it needs 6 people, we can put 6 people on it for half a day. That would have just been inconceivable using hotlinks. The restructuring of the project to get 6 people on it would have taken half a day in itself. And I think productivity is closely tied into speed for us when it comes to teamwork too. I mean, a large number of projects in our office really only need 2 people working on them at CAD at the same time. And even in those smaller projects, we've seen the benefits. We've sometimes found that even small projects are quite fiddly and difficult to separate. Sometimes it's easier to divide a tower of 20 stories between 2 people than it is to divide a small private luxury home. And it's just simply because of the nature of those projects. And one of the big benefits we get is the speed. I think the send and receive times of 10 seconds or less, and the ability to reserve and release elements with a delay of really only 2 or 3 seconds. And then on top of that, to be able to do all of those functions simultaneously with other team members, that drives huge benefits for us. It's uncanny how often someone ends up with that one element that you need. And to simply move one wall from one person's workspace to another person's workspace within a large project, you can lose 20-25 minutes. And what that means is it just doesn't work. So people either have to run over to someone's workstation to do the work, or and what we find is on these really large projects where you've got 6, 7, or 8 people working this way, people just get immensely frustrated, and the team experience is one of constantly clashing with each other and irritating each other. And it's because people feel like they're constantly fighting themselves and fighting the software to get access to what they need. And if you contrast this with Teamwork 2, it's a completely different experience working within those teams. The whole atmosphere is completely different. It's a lot more productive, it's a lot more collaborative, and people can get what they need when they want it, and they don't get frustrated. I suppose this is probably one of the more boring of the 3, but it's really quite important. I think a reliable CAD platform is really essential for people to have confidence, both at a team level and a director level. And for Teamwork 2, like a lot of the other factors that are critical, it's driven by some of the speed benefits. What we've found that has compromised the reliability of Teamwork 1 projects is the long periods of time that people take between sending and receiving, simply because sending and receiving is so slow, means that the model is always out of date, and it can be half a day out of date. And so you end up with a situation where you have a model that is half a day out of date, and multiply that by 5 or 6 people, and you end up with a model that's 3 full working days out of date. And what that means is any kind of problem or crash or power failure or network failure or anything like that has a knock-on effect that's quite significant. And Allowing the model to be constantly up to date has huge benefits for reliability. And it's not just data reliability, but it's the reliability of the model itself. And it's not until you work in an environment with a completely up-to-date model with large teams that you realize just how important that is. For us as a large practice, flexibility is really important. CAD becomes something that is not the focus of staffing, but rather it just facilitates it. And we think that Teamwork 2 has a real potential to revolutionise the way we work. And we're all really looking forward to rolling it out within the practice.